Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanamma. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. Conflict brewing in ruling alliance in Sudur Paschim. CPN-UML adamant on not extending support to Chief Minister Dirga Sordari. Nepal Telecommunications Authority warns of actions against service providers if internet is disrupted. Directs to provide services as per agreement. Heavy rains battering Brazil's southernmost state of Rio Grande do Sul kills 31. Death toll expected to rise as dozens yet to be accounted for. And it's the final match of the 5-match series between Nepal and West Indies. Despite losing the series, the hosts looking to wrap up the series with a win. Nepali team to leave for the World Cup today. Conflict is brewing between Chief Minister of Sudur Paschim Province, Dirga Sordari, and ruling CPN-UML. UML has expressed reservations that the Chief Minister decided on the dates for floor test without consulting the party. Yesterday's session, called at 5 p.m. for the same, had to be postponed as members from UML did not show up. Chief Minister Sordari has called for the session for 5 p.m. later today. However, speaking with Kantipur television, CPN-UML Sudur Paschim Provincial Party leader Rajendra Singh Rawal said members of UML will not attend as the Chief Minister had not consulted him for the vote of confidence. Despite several efforts to regain the 108 ropanis of land encroached by the laboratory school in Kantipur, the Tribhuvan University has not achieved any success. Physical infrastructure of the laboratory school, established for operation of lab facilities for students and teachers of the College of Education, a government institution, have been built over the land of the university. The university has regularly been corresponding for the return of 108 ropanis of land grabbed by the laboratory school. Despite 150 such letters being sent to the school in the past decade, it has yet to vacate the property. The school is currently operating from the building of TU built over the university's land. A report of the university has stated that the government school was all of a sudden transformed to private school in the Nepali year 2034, after which irregularities increased further. Amid dispute between the university and the school, the Ministry of Education had leased the land to a non-government organization for a period of 15 years on July 2000. While nearing the end of the lease, the NGO, which included members from TU itself and others with political backing, had registered the land under Guti and started operating the school. Then Vice-Chancellor Navin Prakash Jangsa had expressed concern over the decision and had corresponded with the Ministry of Education. Student unions were also against the move and have still been protesting against it. However, protests failed to gain shape because of political protection. The TU Executive Council had requested the Ministry of Education to facilitate the return of the land 19 years ago. A notice was then published in Gorkha Patra 4 years later, urging for the relocation of the school and not to admit students. In addition to the involvement of powerful politicians in the Guti, loans were taken from Everest Bank with the physical infrastructures of the school as collaterals. TU had also corresponded with the Ministry of Home Affairs on 8th of April 2015, seeking for support of relocation of the school. Despite the Home Ministry then corresponding with the police headquarters, the school did not vacate the land. Nepal Telecommunications Authority has warned of taking actions against internet service providers failing to abide by the Telecommunications Act and ignoring the terms and conditions of the license. Reminding that internet is an essential service, the NTA has also directed to ensure uninterrupted internet. Issuing a release 24 hours after internet services were interrupted, the authority has warned of taking actions against ISPs as provisioned by the law if such instances repeat in the days ahead. It has been learned that the interrupted internet services resumed after the authority had suggested the Indian ISPs to resume connection. However, with persisting risks of interruption, the authority has directed the ISPs to focus on finding long-term solutions to the problem. As most government and private services are based on the internet, the authority has said that service seekers would be at the receiving end if internet connection is interrupted even for a few minutes. Issuing a release, the ministry has reiterated its stance that it would not issue recommendations for foreign exchange until the ISPs pay taxes as provisioned by the law and regulations. Most Nepali ISPs purchase bandwidth from Indian company Airtel, for which payment needs to be made in US dollars. The internet services of a few entities were interrupted as their recommendations for US dollar payments were halted by the ministry as an action for failing to pay taxes. The government had taken actions against ISPs after they failed to pay 3.5 billion rupees in royalties and deposits at the Rural Telecommunications Development Fund. The Supreme Court has issued a mandamus directing the government to curb pollution at Mount Everest and also to regulate ascents. Saying pollution was increasing at the mountains, the Supreme Court issued the order with the objective of ensuring sanitation. A division bench of Justices Sapana Pradhan and Sushma Lata Mathema has also ordered the government to issue climbing permits only after specifying the number of climbers and the capacity of accommodating the mountaineers. Issuing a ruling on writ petition on a public interest litigation, the Apex Court has also prohibited the use of choppers from the base camp to peaks except for emergency rescue purpose. The government of Nepal has opened 414 mountains, including Mount Everest, for expeditions. Thousands of mountaineers ascend these mountains each year. These mountains have long been grappling with pollution issues, including that of human waste left by the mountaineers. Saying the mountains and glaciers were at high risks of climate change, the Supreme Court has also identified possible risks caused by the melting of glaciers and glacial lake outburst floods. It is time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what do you term the persisting deceit in the politics of alliances? Your options are A, signs of split of the coalition, B, power-focused politics, and C, alliance sans policies. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Welcome back. Parliamentarians have suggested the budget for the upcoming fiscal year to focus on manufacturing sector. At the meeting of the Committee on Development, Economic Affairs and Good Governance under the National Assembly, lawmakers said that environment for industrialization was degrading in the country and the entities and projects with government investment were failing to perform. They drew the attention of Minister for Finance, Barshaman Pun, in this regard. The lawmakers also suggested for addressing problems related to brain drain and issues of the victims of cooperatives. Questions were also raised on the productivity of the external loans taken by the government. Minister for Finance Pun said the budget for the upcoming fiscal year would focus on agriculture, tourism, energy and innovation, saying programs were formulated on the basis of the ceiling of 1.8 trillion rupees set by the National Planning Commission. Minister Pun added that there were tremendous pressures for additional programs. Meanwhile, the minister expressed the commitment of erasing the trend of receiving salaries without performing at public organizations. It is time now for the international update. Heavy rains battering Brazil's southernmost state of Rio Grande do Sul have killed 31 people, and the death toll is expected to rise as dozens still have not been accounted for. More than 70 people were still missing, and at least 17,000 were displaced in the state bordering Uruguay and Argentina, which had nearly half of its 497 cities affected, according to Rio Grande do Sul's civil defense. In several towns, streets essentially turned into rivers, with roads and bridges destroyed. The storm also triggered landslides and the partial collapse of a dam structure at a small hydroelectric power plant. A second dam in the city of Bento Gonçalves is also at risk of collapsing, authorities said, ordering people who live nearby to evacuate. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva traveled to the state on Thursday to visit affected locations and discuss rescue efforts with the governor. A bus veered into a ravine in Pakistan's far north yesterday, killing 20 passengers, while 21 injured were rescued and taken to hospital. The bus was headed to the mountainous northern area of Gilgit-Baltistan from the garrison city of Rawalpindi in Pakistan's eastern province of Punjab when the accident happened in the early hours. The spokesman said that the government immediately launched a rescue operation to evacuate all the injured who were taken to hospital, and added that the injured are in serious condition. Fatal road accidents are common in Pakistan, where traffic rules are rarely followed and roads in many rural areas are in poor condition. Canadian police arrested and charged 3 Indian men with the murder of Sikh separatist leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar last year, and said they were probing whether the men had ties to the Indian government. 45-year-old Nijjar was shot dead in June outside a Sikh temple in Surrey, a Vancouver suburb with a large Sikh population. A few months later, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau cited evidence of Indian government involvement, prompting a diplomatic crisis with New Delhi. Police said the matter was still under investigation and other probes were being carried out. The 3 men were named as Karanpreet Singh, who is 28 years old, Kamalpreet Singh, 22, and Karan Brad, who is also 22 years old. Nijjar was a Canadian citizen campaigning for the creation of Khalistan, an independent Sikh homeland carved out of India. The presence of Sikh separatist groups in Canada has long frustrated New Delhi, which has labelled in fact previously Nijjar as a terrorist. The 3 are due to arrive in British Columbia by Monday. Trudeau announced in September that Canadian authorities were pursuing allegations linking Indian government agents to the murder of Nijjar. New Delhi rejected Trudeau's claim as absurd. Canada had been pressing India to cooperate in its investigation. Last November, U.S. authorities said an Indian government official had directed the plot in the attempted murder of Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, a Sikh separatist and dual citizen of the U.S. and Canada. Russia has appeared positive to resolve the conflict between Russia and Ukraine that has been going on for the past 2 years. Maria Zakharova, spokesperson of the Russian foreign minister, said in a regular press conference yesterday that Russia is ready to consider serious proposals to resolve the conflict with Ukraine, taking into account the current situation and Russian security. However, she said that Russia's position that Ukraine should be considered as a condition of Russian security, including the promise that Ukraine will remain militarily neutral in the future, remains the same. Stating that Russia is ready to review serious proposals based on reality and its security interests, she clarified that the language of blackmail and threats is not acceptable to them. Ukraine has rejected ceasefire proposals in the past. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is still in the position of fighting Russia to the last, but not making a deal. Western countries have been continuously helping Ukraine to fight against Russia. Recently, the U.S. passed a bill of more than $60 billion by both the houses for Ukraine to fight against Russia. After Russia looked positive, 1 person was killed and 2 others were injured when the Russian army attacked Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city. It said 12 residential buildings were damaged in the attack, out of which 3 buildings were said to have been completely destroyed. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.